Yes, I can see it.
You can see
Yes, sir.
it.
I'm on. Yeah, I'm
What?
gonna mute as well because I have
Sure.
kids and I don't want any disturbance in the
Sure.
background.
Thank you for that. What do you see on your screen right now? What does it say?
Building the foundation and this first
Amazing.
layer, second layer, third layer.
Amazing. Okay, great. We are in the game. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So, this is the first inkling of like how we dive into the chart, how we interpret the stars. And I think that it's best to correlate the makeup of the chart to the planets and to where they sit in a chart. And we can go from there because once we tie it all together, then we'll be able to better understand everything within the chart. And that's what I call building the foundation. Okay. So when thinking of astrology and how to read a chart or understanding the stars, as I like to call it, we must first build the concept of working and understanding the chart in layers. The way I interpret a chart is by first understanding that the chart has three layers. The first layer being the foundational layer, okay, which is the default position of the signs and planets that rule each house. And throughout the 12 like seminars that we go through initially, or just, every Zoom we have, there's going to be foundational layer 1, foundational layer 2, and we're going to go through all of those things. And as we go through them, I want you to hold in your mind that this is the way that a chart will be underlining. It's the underlining layer of every chart you will ever see in your life. This is what you must hold in your mind that is playing a part within your interpretations, okay? This foundational layer never changes and it never goes away. This foundational layer is present in all charts, no matter the configuration or makeup of the chart. It is important when looking at charts that you hold this foundational configuration of the chart in your mind, as this will truly give you the most robust and accurate outcomes within your readings and understandings of a chart. In the next few chapters, from Aries all the way to Pisces, or from the first house all the way to the 12th house, we will be discussing what these foundational layers are only. All right. This is just for this section. Now, this is what I like to call the default makeup of the chart. The other layers, as to not confuse you, will come much later, and I will let you know when those times come. So each Zoom session, we're just going to cover one house with its ruler. We're not going to get into all 12 chapters right now. We've only got about 45 minutes to an hour. So every time we meet, we'll just add on to the foundational layers. So does that make sense? Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. Okay, so foundational layer number 1, understanding the houses. Now, this is the rising sign. This is the first house. This is also ruled by Aries. Whenever we talk about the first house, these are the 3 things that should shoot and jump right into your mind, okay? Whenever we talk about the rising sign, I always want you to think about the first house. When you think of the first house, I always want you to think about Aries. I also always want you to think about Mars, okay? So this top section that is in bold, whenever you look at a chart, and you'll get really good at it, these are the associations that I always want you to have when you are looking at the first house or the rising sign, okay? Now, the ruler of the first house is Mars. The element of the first house is fire. The body part that is associated with the first house is the head. All right. Now, the major themes that come out of the first house are going to be action. That's the most important one. Like if I could stop there and move on, that's the seminar right there. Because I always want you to think about action. It is what the person is supposed to do. Okay. It is who they are. All right. Action, the self, you, the body. That's a big one too. That's a very important um, theme when it comes to the first house or Aries energy is the body. All right. Aggression, the head. This is also how others see you. This is your willpower. This is your initiative. And this is also how others perceive you. Okay. So, if you want to write that section down, again, I can't stress it enough that when we are looking at the first house, these are the associations is Aries, Mars, first house, rising sign. They go hand in hand. They never separate. I always want you to think about those things as akin to each other. All right. Yeah. Now let's go ahead. Now, the first house. The first house is the first gate or house within our charts that shows the lens in which our existence is first filtered through. All right. So when we come into existence, when we are born into this plane, depending on the time that we were born, the location that we were born, you are given a rising sign. You are being given a lens for that soul to filter through to the 3D. And that is the first house, right? Now, the first house is how someone shows up in the world. Whether they want to show up that way or not, this is how that person is going to show up in the world. All right. The first house is how others see us before we even see ourselves. All right. The first house holds many keys to our destiny and a clue for what energy we are here to learn, to convey, and express to the world. Now, depending on the sign and the planets that are sitting in this house, this will change. This will vary. Everyone will have a different goal, a different task. But please remember that the first house energy is showing us not only how we show up in the world, but also what we must do in order for us to get our highest dreams, goals, and blessings, no matter the configuration of the chart. So that means Placidus, whole sign, Vedic, Draconic, Blablonic. I don't care what chart you are looking at. The first house will always tell you how someone's being perceived, what they must do in order to get to their highest dreams, goals, and blessing. And that's also the rising sign. That's also what the rising sign is asking of a person as well. So all these things have the same meaning.
I have an important question.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'll give an example for myself. So in Vedic, I am a rising Virgo, but then in the regular one, I am a rising Libra. So that's very two different signs. So it's like if I want to go after my destiny, but I have two different signs, how is that possible?
For sure. Okay, so as we go further into understanding the ins and outs and intricacies of a chart, you're going to find the similarities between a lot of the signs. So the main similarity that I see between a Virgo and a Libra is that Virgos need other people. Libras need other people. They are meant to be in an exchange with others, right? There's also tracing the lords, there's tracing the other aspects within the chart. So it goes deeper than just looking at the first house sign. But for this, like as we just start, I do want you to just consider what's going on in the first house as the sign that it shows you. I know between Vedic and tropical, it may vary, but as we go on, I'm going to show you how to interpret those things because to be honest with you, if I were to read your Vedic chart and then I was also to read your Libra chart, your tropical chart, and you would hear those interpretations, at the end of the day, they would both have the same outcome where you would be able to resonate with it, where you would go, oh, okay, got it. I understood. But it gets a little bit more intricate. And those are a little bit more advanced topics. And we are going to get into that much later though, okay?
Okay.
But okay, so no matter the configuration of the chart, whether it's Placidus, whole sign, Vedic, Draconic, if any planets and signs lie in the first house, this is how the person will be received by the world and what the person themselves should learn how to express themselves within the energy of and planets within the house for them to get the best results and alignment in life. I would also tell you with that Libra and that Virgo, is to combine those two things, to do exactly what both of those things are saying, because neither one of them are wrong. You will find that you will get best results with either, to be honest with you, or a combination of both, because you will also find that with Placidus signs, Placidus charts as well, where you will see that in the top right-hand corner of a birth chart, it will dictate and say your rising sign is a Cancer, for example, right? Or they'll even say your rising sign is a Libra, right? And then you'll see in that Placidus that it's kind of skewed, like your rising sign is up in the 12th house, but then you still have that Virgo in the first. And you're like, well, what do I do with that? You follow not only that you're a Libra rising, but you follow the planets and the sign that's in that first house, because it will still play out good. And that's how you find alignment within your chart or within your life, or a person's life, or whoever you are dictating to or deciding what the outcomes are of the person. Does this make sense so far just within this section of the first house?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Let me know if
Yes.
it does get shaky at all. I don't mind diving deep into any of this, okay?
Mhm.
Now, moving forward, the rising sign or the ascendant is usually in the first house. However, with more advanced chart types, like the rising sign may differ from the sign in the first house, like Placidus. In these cases, you must consider not only the rising sign, but the planet and sign that occupies the first house as well, as this will still play a significant role within the way a person is received and perceived and what their life path will be colored by. So literally what I just said about how, whether it's Placidus, Vedic, no matter what, you still have to follow and ascertain what that first house energy is, because it will still play a part. Okay, and then I put, so that we are not jumping ahead, let's continue to consider that we are only discussing the whole sign chart for which the rising sign will always be in the first house. So just for this section, just for this basic meaning, we're just going to consider that we are talking about whole sign charts, whole sign tropical charts, okay? Now, the rising sign. Okay, the rising sign for me is the most important placement within the chart as it dictates what other configurations are bound to happen in the chart. I usually ask someone when I'm getting to know them, what is your rising sign? Before I ask them anything else, I'm asking them what the rising sign. Because as an astrologer, I don't care about your sun sign. I care about the rising sign because for me, I'm a little nosy and I want to know what is